Welcome to episode 2 of Casual Chats. So we've got more learnings from this week. For one, there's not going to be any more of the daily videos. I was doing the pack of the day videos just to give some piece of content for each day, but they've been doing incredibly poorly, possibly because of poor editing, but aside from that, they just didn't seem to be something people were interested in. So even though I've filmed the second week of them, I'm not going to put them up, at least for now. I know people love the full box openings, but I don't have the kind of financial backing to do full box openings at the moment. Maybe in the far future. We can see how that goes. A second learning from this week was that my computer does not like OBS. So OBS is a sort of platform that lots of streamers and the VTubers use. It allows you to put multiple different pieces of media on top of each other in a live capacity. So what I was trying to do was your standard Twitch stream setup where you're visible in the bottom left corner and then whatever game screen you're playing is also visible. So I was trying to do that so that I could play Guild Wars 2 and narrate while I was also hiding the chat with that box. Unfortunately, the first time I was filming that video, OBS crashed about 30 seconds in. I didn't notice because it's just a little notification at the bottom of the grey bar, and I spoke for about 40 minutes and got absolutely no recorded content out of that. I couldn't seem to rectify the issue. My computer, I'm using a gaming laptop, but it's about 4 years old now, so not the latest tech. It didn't seem to be able to handle it by itself. So what I tried to do instead is I'm now using the NVIDIA capture software to just record my screen, and I'm using my phone to capture myself talking. This works for the most part because I can just resize the two videos, overlay them over each other. Unfortunately, it does mean I have to edit both separately and then try to match what's happening on the screen to what I'm actually saying, which is definitely interesting. For instance, the second Guild Wars 2 video, that had originally about 45 minutes of footage, and I think the final product got cut down to 17. So there was a lot of little cuts and editing there, and matching everything up was a bit of a pain in the ass. Going forward, if I'm going to have to do that, I think I will try and just sharp cut straight to whatever the piece of information is. So that's visible on the screen, I can just narrate over that. So if I do need to cut certain parts, it's not jarring, it's not where I'm walking or running towards something. So hopefully that will work out in the future, but hey, you learn something new each day. Another change you'll notice is that I redid the intro screen and the outro screen. I thought they might look slightly better. They also match the brand colors, which seems to be something the software was pushing at me. So now they are all in line, all the same brand colors, and even have a minor bit of animation on them. Which, I mean, in the long run makes sense. If everything's sort of cohesive, it looks better to anyone watching. And the last thing was that I now have a schedule, or I hope to have a schedule. So that will be a Guild Wars 2 video on Sundays, Casual Chats, which is this, for Mondays, a Wildcard Wednesdays, which there may or may not be a video on that day, and it can be on any topic. So if something takes my fancy, I can just talk about that. TCG Fridays, so that will either be Flesh and Blood or Magic the Gathering. Another learning, or at least my impression, was that it was less popular for me to do the combined Magic the Gathering Flesh and Blood video, the synergy and consistency. People didn't like when I did both at the same time, which is understandable because the mechanics are slightly differently. I tried some of the principles are the same across the two, but mechanically there are differences, especially since some of the concepts, like you can't mana flood in Flesh and Blood, and you can't deck thin as well, and some of the other concepts aren't quite applied the same. Like synergy has a much greater impact in Magic the Gathering because there are so many mechanics, whereas in Flesh and Blood at the moment there isn't that many mechanics. Synergy is still important, but it's a much more cohesive thing, and it's usually got a hero identity, so players are sort of signposted towards doing that, which is very helpful in terms of having a direction. So my aim for this is basically just to be a one-person podcast or short chatting episode. Some might say a monologue. This could be the path to villainy. In 10 years' time, will these be my descent into a supervillain? Who knows? But yeah, just a casual chat, just to talk about maybe what's happened in the week or anything I thought that was interesting. Yesterday I went to see Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. It was actually very good. I went in expecting nothing, but it surprised me. It has the several of the actors from Crazy Rich Asians, and in terms of a Marvel movie, it was a solid 8 or a 9, I would say. It suffers from the same thing every Marvel movie does. If you're not familiar with it, nearly every Marvel movie has the hero fight an alter ego villain of themselves, so essentially the same superpower against the same superpower. So Iron Man fights an Iron Man, Captain America fights an alternative to Captain America, superpowered person fights superpowered person, even T'Challa fights evil T'Challa, essentially. And there's always a giant CGI battle, but the giant battle never actually has a consequence, which I feel is the one area they could definitely improve on. But overall, it was a good comedy vibe. You can definitely see some of the inspiration from those kung fu style movies with the way they were doing some of the cinematography. Some of the shots were very much inspired by it, the poses. It was a nice homage to all of that, and it definitely incorporated it well. The atmosphere in the cinema was very good as well. Everyone was laughing along, cheering along, and everyone stayed for the obvious after-credit scenes. There's 2, by the way, one at the mid-credits and one at the very end. The only other interesting thing I've done this week was read all of Oyasumi Punpun, which is an unusual manga. Its main character is a human, but is drawn by the author as a kind of stick figure chicken person, and it basically follows this person growing up. It's an incredibly depressing manga. I would not read it unless you're in a very good mood or have braced yourself for it. It covers a bunch of dark themes, like from looking at the cover, because it's got this stick person and then just a pretty good art style, you wouldn't expect the level of darkness, and it's also reasonably explicit, so not really for kids. It covers dark themes such as domestic abuse, assault, suicide, some other themes. It's actually rated on the website I was looking on as the number 7 manga of all time on that site, so it's definitely a popular one. I must have just missed it and not read it before. I saw it on a podcast I was listening to, and they mentioned it. They did give me a heads up that it was depressing, and they were right. But yeah, if it was worth a watch, it was, well, not a watch, a read. But yeah, definitely it'd be something to brace yourself for, and for a lot of people right now, probably not the best time to read it. In terms of general YouTube development of the channel, also I finally hit 10 subscribers, so yay, nice mini milestone. I wonder, can I maybe get to 100 by the end of the month? Hopefully by then I'll have, I think it'll be 12 more videos, in which case I'll actually start to have a backlog of videos that people can watch. So if someone comes to the channel, they'll see it. If they watch the video, they can click another and maybe they'll actually subscribe to it. But we'll see how it goes. It's still not the driving factor. It's still the learning process. You'll notice I've tried a few more editing techniques. The OBS and game capture was the main one I was trying this week. I've been experimenting with some more music and a little bit more sound effects. Because I canned the 7 pack of the day videos, it may not be evident for some of the videos released. And yeah, definitely the editing time for the videos has increased too due to that, but hey, that's part of the process. In terms of things I still have to do, you'll notice that the openings of several of my videos are still quite rambly. The latest one, time of release, the second Guild Wars 2 video, I don't know what happened there, but I spend, even after cutting, I spend a good minute and a half at the start just rambling about efficiency, and then I don't actually address it that much in the video itself. So I'm sure that's going to turn off a lot of people, and in future I'm going to try and cut it down. You'll also have noticed this week that I've been trying to introduce skits. I may have been over enthusiastic with the synergy and consistency skits because I did 3 back to back. That's just, I actually had 4 originally planned, but after some editing down I squeezed it into 3. It probably should have only been 2. You could probably cut out the middle one or the first one and it would have had the same impact. So if anyone has feedback as to whether they like those skits, I didn't have particular inspiration for it, but I know like the professor does it as well in some of his videos, and Loading Ready Run also have that sort of thing. Another upcoming piece is that I'm trying to find somewhere I can play the pre-release for both Innistrad and Tales of Aria. I'm just trying to work out the timings for that. None of my local stores do Flesh and Blood, so I'm probably going to have to travel somewhere. I think the closest place is 45-minute drive away that's actually doing one of the pre-releases, so I'm just going to have to pick one and see if they have enough room and go for that. But it should definitely be an interesting experience. I'm going to have to play some practice games against myself so that I don't get completely destroyed when I go there. I've opened 23 of the 24 Welcome to Wrath packs I had, and I'm probably going to do a follow-up video to see how on the distribution I was in the first video I'd done. So I've got them all in a binder, and I've got all the repeats lying over here separately. So if there's more than 3 copies of a card, I've taken it out and put it over there. From looking just by eye, it looks like I've now got all the commons. It was very hit or miss. I think it was only at pack 22 that I finally opened the last missing common. In terms of the other ones, I got very lucky and got my first legendary card, so that was nice. You can see that in video number 7, by the way. And then just in terms of the rares, I think I have most of the rares, but for the super rares and the majestics, no, I'm missing a massive chunk. It would probably take several more boxes to get them. Another little behind the scenes is that it's actually quite hard for me when I'm trying to record something because I can't see anything. I normally wear glasses, but the glasses reflect everything on the screen in front of me. So if I want to do the anime thing, I can completely do that with these screens, but it also shows everyone what I'm looking at. So if there's a script up, they'll see that. If there's other unrelated things I've got open on the other tabs, that'll show up too, and it's kind of distracting. So I've just been recording with my glasses off, and yeah, you'll notice I go up close to the screen at times, and that's when I'm trying to squint and read whatever the writing is. Probably not great for the video composition. Maybe something I'll have to change going forward. But as I don't have a full lighting setup, I just have a lamp over here and a lamp behind me, and then the lights above me. I've got these ones set to blue at the moment just for some atmosphere, but normally they are set to white to try and even out the lighting. But even from here I can see that it's still uneven on my face. But these are things to note and to grow as I grow. Thanks for listening to me ramble on for another, I don't know, 15 minutes or so. I guess I'll see you at the next video or next week for Casual Chats, episode 3.